It was just past 6 p.m. The sky over Jeju Island had melted into soft hues of orange and gold. The cast and crew of a new K-drama, where Lee MinHo and Song Hye Kyo were working together for the first time, had just wrapped filming for the day. As Hye Kyo made her way to her private van with only her assistant, a suspicious black vehicle slowly crept along the edge of the parking lot. Nobody thought much of it, until the van suddenly accelerated and cut off Hye Kyo's driver. 3 men jumped out. Dressed in fake security uniforms, they tried to blend in. But what happened next sent chills down everyone's spine. They opened Hye Kyo's van door, trying to drag her out while muffling her screams. Her assistant was shoved to the ground. Meanwhile, Lee MinHo was just finishing a quick call with his manager when he caught a strange noise near the vans. At first, he ignored it. Then he heard a muffled scream, and something inside him snapped. In one leap, he sprinted across the lot, his instincts razor-sharp. His long coat billowed like a cape behind him. And just as one of the men shoved Hye Kyo into the black van, Lee MinHo launched himself forward and punched one of the kidnappers so hard, the man crashed into the side of the vehicle. It turned into a chaotic fight. One of the kidnappers lunged at Lee MinHo with a steel rod, grazing his arm. Blood trickled, but the actor didn't flinch. "Let her go!" he roared, grabbing Hye Kyo's wrist and yanking her away from the van. The third man tried to flee with the van, but MinHo leaped onto the hood like a scene from City Hunter, banging on the windshield until the driver panicked and crashed into a lamppost. Smoke billowed from the hood. By now, crew members had rushed in. Someone called the police. Sirens wailed in the distance. The kidnappers, realizing their plan had failed, tried to escape, but MinHo had already pinned 2 of them to the ground with shocking strength and determination. Song Hye Kyo was trembling. Her eyes wide with fear, her hands shaking. But Lee MinHo turned to her slowly, sweat and blood on his brow, and whispered, "You're safe now. I've got you." In that moment, under the dim parking lot lights, he held her. Not as a co-star. Not as a colleague. But as a protector who would risk everything for her. And strangely, something shifted in Hye Kyo's eyes. By the next morning, the story was everywhere. Lee MinHo foils kidnap attempt. Song Hye Kyo rescued in dramatic night scene. Real-life hero, MinHo stops crime with bare hands. The CCTV footage leaked, showing the breathtaking fight. Fans were in shock. Tweets poured in from around the world praising Lee MinHo's courage, with hashtags like #RealLifeHeroMinHo trending globally for 48 hours. The footage showed one particularly moving moment, Hye Kyo burying her face in MinHo's chest as he shielded her with his own body from the chaos. Days later, Hye Kyo broke her silence with an emotional message on Instagram. "Some angels don't have wings, they have hearts of fire and hands that protect. Thank you, MinHo." She later revealed that she had received threatening letters weeks before the attack, but never thought it would escalate. The kidnappers had planned to force a marriage with a foreign syndicate boss, according to police sources. It was a planned abduction for blackmail and trafficking, and Lee MinHo stopped it. Since that night, something has undeniably changed between Lee MinHo and Song Hye Kyo. Paparazzi have caught them having quiet dinners together. The way she looks at him, grateful, soft, almost in awe. Fans now wonder, was this terrifying incident the spark of something deeper? A drama written not by screenwriters but by fate? In a press conference a week later, Lee MinHo remained humble. "Anyone would have done the same," he said quietly. "I just didn't want her to get hurt." But when a journalist asked what went through his mind in that moment, his answer sent the room into silence. "I thought, if anything happened to her, I could never forgive myself." Whether this is the beginning of a romance or just a story of human courage, one thing is clear, Lee MinHo isn't just a screen legend. He's a real-life hero, ***. And for Song Hye Kyo, he wasn't just her co-star that night. He was her shield, her fighter, her savior, ***. The moment Lee MinHo saw the van door rip open, time slowed. Every sound blurred, the distant call of a seagull, the soft crunch of gravel under rushed footsteps, even the chatter of crew members behind him. But Hye Kyo's muffled scream? That pierced everything. Without thinking, MinHo tossed his phone aside. In a flash, he tore off his coat and sprinted. As he ran, his mind flashed with horrifying possibilities. What if he was too late? What if she was already gone? But when he saw her being dragged, fighting, her legs kicking, something raw ignited in him. This wasn't acting. This was war. The first kidnapper never saw it coming. MinHo's fist crashed into the man's jaw like thunder, sending him flying backward. The second kidnapper lunged, but MinHo dodged, twisted, and kicked him in the ribs with surgical precision. Hye Kyo's terrified eyes locked onto his for a split second, and then she collapsed to the ground. MinHo reached her, scooping her up with one arm while using the other to shield her from a steel rod swinging toward them. It struck his shoulder with a dull thud. He grunted, but did not fall. MinHo glanced toward the driver's seat of the kidnapper's van, where the third man had just started the engine. The tires screeched. He was trying to drive off, with one of the attackers still half inside. In a move that stunned everyone, MinHo leapt onto the hood of the van. Clinging to the windshield wipers, he banged on the glass with his elbow, screaming, "Stop the car!" The driver panicked, swerved, then slammed into a concrete divider. The van stalled. Steam hissed from the engine. And just like that, the vehicle was neutralized. Back near Hye Kyo's van, the second attacker, dazed but not down, grabbed Hye Kyo by the arm. She screamed again. MinHo ran back with blood streaming down his forearm, grabbed the attacker by the collar, and threw him against the side of the van with enough force to dent the metal. "You touch her again," he growled, his voice shaking with fury, "and I'll make sure you never see sunlight again." By now, security guards and production crew had joined in, subduing the third man who tried crawling from the wrecked van. The police sirens were getting closer. The nightmare was over. Hye Kyo, still trembling, sat on the pavement beside MinHo's van. Her makeup was smudged, her hair tangled. But her eyes, those iconic, expressive eyes, were locked on the man beside her. Lee MinHo sat next to her, his shirt torn, arm bruised, blood drying on his sleeve. He said nothing for a long while. Then he whispered, "You're okay. You're safe." Tears welled in her eyes. And for the first time that night, she allowed herself to cry, not from fear, but from relief. She leaned into him. His arms, despite everything, still steady and strong, wrapped around her. Later, several crew members who witnessed the event shared chilling accounts. He didn't hesitate. He just ran into danger. That jump onto the moving van? That was insane. It was like watching a real-life action scene, but with real fear in everyone's eyes. One cameraman accidentally left his camera rolling and caught a full 3-minute unedited sequence of the incident. The footage later leaked online, sparking viral headlines and fan reactions like, "MinHo deserves a national award. Hye Kyo's guardian angel." That man didn't act like a hero. He became one. Both were taken to a private clinic for checkups that night. Hye Kyo's arms had light bruising. MinHo's shoulder was dislocated slightly, and he had deep scrapes. But he didn't complain once. His only question to the doctors was, "Is she okay?" At the clinic, reporters surrounded the entrance. Bodyguards kept them at bay as the two actors were escorted inside under heavy protection. Inside, as Hye Kyo sat quietly in the dim hospital room, she looked up at MinHo and whispered, "You saved my life." MinHo smiled gently. "I just did what anyone would do." But she shook her head. "No one else would have fought like that. Not like you did." There was a pause, soft, powerful. Then she added, "Why did you really do it?" MinHo looked into her eyes and said, "Because losing you, even for a moment, wasn't something I was willing to risk." As the police investigated further, it was discovered that the attackers had forged IDs and were hired by a shadowy offshore syndicate that had been targeting high-profile celebrities. Their aim? To kidnap Hye Kyo, transport her abroad, and use her for leverage against powerful figures in Korea's entertainment and fashion world. It was part of a larger blackmail operation. Thanks to MinHo's intervention, their operation was exposed and dismantled. That night, as they both left the hospital, a quiet moment was caught by paparazzi. Hye Kyo, in a long beige coat, walking slowly. MinHo beside her, his arm in a sling. She reached for his hand. He held it tightly. No words were spoken, but their silence said more than any interview ever could. The story of Lee MinHo's bravery will be told for years. Not just for his action star reflexes, but for his courage, his compassion, and his selfless heart. And for Song Hye Kyo, what started as a terrifying ordeal may have unlocked something unexpected. A bond deeper than friendship, forged in fire, fear, and the arms of a man who didn't hesitate to become her shield. The drama they were filming was supposed to be fiction. But what happened that night was real, powerful, and unforgettable. ****